it's just been a journey, and we've spoken so much, and I think you could hear it, you knew it, how much this was just weighing me down. And I think there were so many times it was like, why did I why did I put myself in this spot, or why did I decide to do this after so long and school and stuff.
Bonjour guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to interview Anthony, who's going to share with us his FE experience and how he passed his FE exam in his fourth times. He took his FE exam in September 2020, which means after the changes. So he's going to tell us about his FE experience and then also the difference between the time he took it before the changes and after the changes. Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been kind of waiting for this moment,
Yeah.
Been nice.
Yeah, I remember the first time we talked, it was around the end of January 2020, and we were talking about like how to help you to pass your FE exam. And then I remember you mentioning like being in my channel and doing the interview once you pass your FE exam. And I feel like each time I talk to you about it, or each time I check on you and stuff, you're always just excited, looking forward to the interview, which I thought it was really cool. So I'm really excited to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm pumped now that we're finally hit this part of the journey. I think we both had it. It's kind of your help, and it was like, hey, you could be next. And I don't know if it added pressure or what, but now it's nice. It's done. So now we can sit back and enjoy this moment.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay. Now, before we dive into your FE experience, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? When did you graduate?
So I graduated back in the fall of 2006.
Okay.
From NMSU, New Mexico State University, with a civil engineering technology degree. So mine was in the technology side of studies, I guess. So it was real similar to the civil engineering degree, but it also had some emphasis with the hands-on more on the construction side. So definitely had some construction courses, so definitely been a while.
Wow. Okay. So you've graduated like more than 15 years ago. So it's been a while since you graduated.
Yes.
And your major was more towards the construction than the civil engineering field. But you did take FE exam civil, right? FE civil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. So I remember I did take it getting out of school. I think I took it like my last semester or something, took it, but I just wasn't successful. And that was back when it was by pencil and paper and, and a lot different then to now, from when I took it now. So
that's so cool. So you experienced 3 different FE exams, because when you first graduated 2006, when you took the exam, that was very different than after 2012. And that again, it's different than the 2020 because they just changed it. So you took 3
right.
different FE exams. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. And that's why I think even as trying to take it at the beginning of this year, COVID hit, and then it's like, oh, there's the deadline, and trying to schedule right before they changed it, right? I didn't know what to expect, did all the prep, and then I scheduled it then, and then they canceled it, right? And so I think I was scheduled that month before they're going to change it to take it. Then they canceled me again, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm going to the new the new switch again, and
yeah,
it was, I guess it was good because I passed. So
yeah,
can't complain now.
You did get affected a little bit with COVID, with the whole situation of like when you're going to take the exam. And I remember you mentioning like each time they canceled your FE exam, you felt a little bit frustrated and also like lost in terms of like, when am I supposed to start studying? And you were also afraid that if you start studying again, what if it gets postponed again? And that messed up your whole study schedule. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and like how were you able to study for the last one?
Yeah, so I know when we started, right, our goal was March, and I started studying. Luckily, it kind of had a good time because the project I'm currently on, we're in suspension, right? So put time in study. You helped me out to get there. Canceled it. It was kind of a bummer. got rescheduled and I think we're scheduled around July, right before the switch. That's when I was going to take it, right? So I think a month and a half, we spoke, said, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I kind of took some time off, kind of let my brain rest. And then I just started hitting it again, couple hours a day, throughout the week. Then sure enough, they canceled it again, right? And I even called them, I think, a week before and say, hey, are you guys open? Are we good? Oh yeah, you're good, and then 2 days later, they canceled it.
Wow.
And then we got it rescheduled. I said, and it was kind of hard because the biggest thing for me was trying to juggle work, right? Because we were on suspension. It was timing out just fine with March because we were going to get ready to go back late March. I thought I'd take the exam, be done, and not have to worry about juggling around work and studying, right? But just didn't happen that way. So I kind of looked at what can I do to stay focused with work and get that job done, but also manage time to study. And that's when I set it up for September because I knew that's when the job I knew I'd have time where I could focus and step away a little bit to study if I needed to. And that's kind of what I did. I think we spoke about a month and a half before, and we kind of just came up with plans. Say, hey, just stick with what you're doing. Go through videos. I think you kept adding videos. I don't know if you're adding them because of me to make me smarter or help me out or what, but so many more videos started popping up, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need more time, But it all worked out. In the end, I look back and it's just been a journey. And we've spoken so much, and I think you could hear it. You knew it. How much this was just weighing me down, and I think there were so many times it was like, why did I put myself in this spot, or why did I decide to do this after so long and school and stuff? And it was like, nope, just go through it, and I just stuck with it. Wasn't going to quit. And I think that was the biggest thing. I was not going to quit as much as I put into this, so that was my journey there.
So why did you decide to take the FE?
I think part of it was just kind of to challenge myself. I think it wasn't like I needed it for work or anything. I'm more. I've been in the business on the construction side, building the work, right? And I think for me, what I wanted was kind of challenge myself, but also to be able to have a better voice in the field with the inspectors and stuff, working with the DOT out here and some of the inspectors, trying to relay stuff, and trying to build that relationship with the inspectors and the contractors, right? There's so much of this in the industry where the inspectors think you're taking advantage of them and this and that. And I figured, well, maybe with this, it would help them listen a little bit better and not try to say, oh, you don't know what you're doing, even though we have the experience more or less in the field, I think that's what it was. And I think, I don't know what it was because I think I started this journey back in 2017 when I decided to go ahead and do this, right? And I don't know if I did. I found websites or seen stuff on the online, right? There's so many courses, there's so much stuff out there. It's like, oh, well, you could take this, and you see these guaranteed passing. It's like, hey, well, I've taken it once. Well, maybe now I can do it. And then the change with the online, well, let's try it, And then once I set my mind to it, it was like, I'm not stopping, And I think so many people, there was limited people that knew what I was going through, and that was the biggest thing. I kept everything so private with this test because I just didn't want to have to tell people, oh, you didn't do it, right? So it was kind of like, oh, I don't want to advertise too much, and then I just started,
Wow, that's really interesting. You really had a quiet journey. So in terms of the privacy, I really like that because sometimes people would feel the pressure, especially from their coworkers. Like if they don't pass, it's going to be an awkward conversation to tell your coworkers, and the people around you that I failed and then I failed again and I failed again.
Right.
And it just becomes very discouraging. So I think sometimes, if the you don't have that kind of pressure from work that you have to take this FE and you just want to take it for yourself, I recommend to actually keep it to yourself and just keep studying. And once you pass, then you can bring it to your boss or your coworkers. But in the beginning, like, it's better to not, like, make sure like not a lot of people know about it. It's just because it just kind of helps you mentally to study for it better without that kind of pressure.
Right. Yeah. No, and it definitely did. Like, for me, there was only a handful of people who knew. Really, my little lady, she knew. And she did the best to kind of just keep it, not tell people too. And I think that was a big thing. Like my folks, my mom, would have liked to have known, but she didn't know. And but one of the bosses at work, he knew about it. Because he helped let me devote time from work to study as well. So and I think that's what it was towards the end. This last time, it was like, oh, now I felt the pressure, and I felt a little more pressure, like, okay, we've done a couple times and I don't want to tell them again. And going through your course, even I didn't want to let you down either, right? You've helped me on the journey. And but I know, like, the craziest part about this whole thing was, towards the end, and even the last couple months, your course, like, not only did it help me, like, learn the problems and the theories and some stuff to help me through the test, but it also gave me the confidence. And I think we mentioned that, right? I think we're a month out or something from the test. I remember us having that talk, and I said, hey, if I gotta go take it tomorrow, I'll go do it. Like, I'm not scared of the exam as much as I was before. And I think I had that fear for so long on the actual test. And I think I built that confidence through your course too. So I didn't just learn the problem solving aspect, but also just the actual exam prep, like, helped from your course as well.
Yeah, I think it's important. Like, I try to send you guys emails like weekly. I kind of stopped a little bit the last couple weeks, but in the beginning, when you first enroll in the course, I tried to send a couple emails, because I feel like believing in yourself and having the confidence is like 50% the battle of this exam. Like, if you're feeling confident about yourself, even though you're not 100% ready or you don't know all the material, I feel like you have higher chances of passing than the person who knows everything, but he doesn't feel like, he doesn't believe in himself, or he doesn't have the confidence. I think that part is really important. And a lot of people, like, they don't really take it seriously. They don't go like, I really need to believe in myself, like I can do this, before they go in to take the exam. They don't know how much that actually affects their test performance. And I think it's really important to have that before you go in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I look back, and yeah, we talked about taking it like 4 times or whatever, how many times I've taken it. I look back at, just now, when, we were planned in March to take it, didn't take it, and got to take it now. And I look back at just that time there, and I'm just comparing those two moments, right? And you helped me out before that test, back in March. I woke up that morning, and I felt okay about going into the exam, but going back this last time now that I took it, there was no fear, no scare. It was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and just building that. And I think this COVID, delaying my exam almost helped with some of those aspects, even though, like, the biggest part for me was the negative on it was I had to carry that bag of weight longer, right? And it was just like, I don't want to don't want to do this no more. I want to just be done with it, but it all worked out, and that's the good part about it. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's talk a little bit about scheduling. How many months before the FE exam did you begin studying? So you did mention that you started studying about a month and a half. So because your exam was on March, but it got rescheduled to June, and then
right.
and so before June you started studying a month and a half before that, but then it got rescheduled to September. Did you continue studying, or did you stop, or did you take any breaks?
So before that, so we look back at March, right? I think I took the, let's see. So I took, when I failed it the last time was probably June or July of 2018, late, and I was going to try to take it end of the year of 2019 or whenever I pass it. I think I just started studying. And I think what I devoted was from January through close to March, right before I took it. I was devoting um, close to 3 to 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And like I said, it worked out with work. I was able to do that. So I kind of used that time, and that really helped get me ready, I think, in March, but not quite. So once we got everything delayed, I think I waited about a month and then started studying up again, a couple hours. And I think what was nice is I didn't go big, heavy, the 4 hour blocks like I was doing. But I definitely don't think I ever stopped studying. I think I just stayed studying. One thing, I know you probably laugh at me, or people are gonna laugh at me, but what I started doing here, I'm working out of town, right? And I'm traveling at least 2.5 hours one way, and I started just listening to your videos, some of the other YouTube video. I forgot what the professor name from Marshall's University. I'd listened to his deal, so I started doing that, right? Just to start pushing hearing everything more and more, so I started doing that close to the last 2 months, probably, or a little bit more, that I just started valuing that extra time, just listening, and I think it helped. So I was kind of tough because it was hard, you'd get a schedule and then work would hit. So I was like, can I study? Can I not study? I'm tired, not, and trying to juggle that. But I would say I pretty much devoted about a good 2 hours every night the last month and a half, 2 months before this last time I was taking it.
Okay, awesome. I think what I like about your plan is that the first couple months from January to March, you kind of were doing a lot of studying, 3 hours to 4 hours a day. I would say that is really intense, especially if you're working full time, which is your case. Usually I recommend my students, like an hour, 2 hours a day, and then during the weekend, maybe increase that to 5 hours Saturday and Sunday. Because you can burn out real quick if you work, and then especially you have a family, you have kids, you work 4 hours, you sleep, you wake up, you go to work, and you just repeat. That routine can really burn you out fast. But besides that, when you started studying from January to March, you kind of were trying to cement all the material and just kind of learn. You just, especially because you've been out of school for a while, and so you kind of just try to learn everything, and you were trying to cram it all because were trying to, I remember, because you were trying to study a lot, and then we also did like a private session for like, what was it, like 3 or 4 hours straight. Like we were both so tired afterwards. Like you were tired and I was like tired, like, and then and that was like 2 or 3 days before your exam, and then so it did get rescheduled because of COVID, and you did take a couple months off, or you did take a couple weeks off, and I think that was really important, because that break, what happened is that your brain was trying to process everything that you were trying to cram in those 3 months. And I think after that, when you processed it and then you felt recharged and you felt like you were ready again, when you were reviewing, you kind of just reinforce all the concepts that you learned in that 3 months. So it was really interesting how like it's almost like it's great that it got postponed, because it worked out great for you, because the way how it was like, like it worked out, you were able to like learn everything, and then you took some time off to recharge, and then you were able to again study and then just reinforce some of those concepts. And then also I did add some more problems by the time you were preparing for your last attempt, and so that really worked out great for you as well. So I think sometimes, it's just important, especially because I do have a lot of students who've been out of school for a while, and it's just tricky because you haven't seen this material in a long time. And so sometimes you just need a couple months just to kind of learn the information, and then take some time off, and then come back to it, and then review again. And then this time you're going to really understand what you were doing.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what happened. Like, it was the craziest deal. And I think we talked about it too. And I think you even encouraged that after it got canceled, like, hey, take some time off, let your brain relax, and I remember at one point, I even was, during the work, I'm out there supervising, doing stuff, but there was times where I knew, like, can kind of take a break. So I'd go to my truck and I just put blank 11 by 17 papers in my plan set for the job, right? And I'd sit in my truck and just do some problems. And so I was just trying to value as much time as I could. And at one point, I remember it was kind of like a light bulb just hit. Like one of the concepts just finally like kicked in, and it was like, wait a minute, it's working. I understand it, but and you realize how much like some of the different topics, they all kind of circle back to each other, and they all help each other almost, and I remember that happened, and it just clicked, and it was like, okay, we're good now, we're ready now, it's coming together. And that's what I look at. I know we talked about this. I think we burnt each other out on that private session, and I'd look back and what you did for me helped me and opened up some concepts to me. But I know some of the stuff we were going through then wasn't as strong as I knew now going into the exam. So I might have been able to get through, and maybe I would have passed taking it in March, but I don't know if I was as prepared like I was now learning the information. So and I think that happened, and I think I've seen some of your other interviews and some of this other students of yours that have taken it, and they talk about that, like they balance their studying, and for me, that's kind of what I did. Like there was times when I'd be tired at work, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna study, I need a break, and I think that was the biggest thing. Like I wanted to keep going and just get stronger and stronger at the problems, but I didn't want to get burnt out. We knew it was kind of going to be a marathon to get to this date, and it was kind of like, nope, just stick with the plan. When you're ready to study. Don't force yourself if you're not ready. When I knew when to, like, I had to study and when I didn't, and I'd say I stayed pretty disciplined, and like I said, I was doing 10 to 15 problems a day just in my truck, working behind the plan set, just doing them, watching your videos and doing problems, and I think what was nice about it, and we talked about this too towards the end, was I could watch your videos and started being able to almost work through a good chunk of the problem. Maybe I didn't answer all of it all the way, but I could almost get there, and then I go, oh, okay, that's where I missed it. Or I'd solve it all the way, and then I'd watch your video explaining it, like, okay, yeah, we're good, and just move on to the other one, and I just kept just going through all that, and it definitely helped.
Yeah. I really like the way you were studying or approaching the problems. You attempt the problems, and then you saw that you were going like almost halfway or more than halfway, and then you see, oh, I missed here, this is what I did wrong, and then you get like little hints, and then you continue. I think that's really important to do that, because when you're attempting the problems and you're struggling to the problem, that's when your brain starts making connections, and then you also learn from your mistakes. So if you miss something, you'll actually remember it for your exam. And watching videos, a lot of times, like, just because you watch someone solve the problem, it might have clicked right then, but it doesn't mean you'll be able to solve it. You actually have to solve the problems. And that I noticed, like, a lot of students would do that. They would just sit and watch, but you have to actually attempt the problems to be able to see where are your weaknesses, what are you missing, and start making connections.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. And an example of that, was the best thing that I learned was the units, right? And you talked about it, you hear about it so many times with all the prep courses in there, but just units, right? And I think that's what I gained this whole time when I didn't take it now, was some of the units. And I knew I could figure out, I started figuring out like problems I wasn't either in the right direction, wasn't solving them right, or I was on the wrong path, but I could look back and, well, my units aren't working out, or, oh, there we go. And then I can kind of, oh, this is where I missed, and I can almost check myself. And that's where I think I got stronger with the units. Cause I know going back, if I would have taken in March, some of the units I knew some, but not to where I'm at now, and that helped, and that repetitiveness.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So let's go back a little bit to scheduling. So you started studying, you said for 2 months, you would try to study 2 hours a day. and then you just try to listen to your body. If you don't feel like studying, you just don't study that day. Is there anything specific that you did to help you recharge and just kind of take a break?
Not really. So for me, like I think I left my weekends opened, right? I remember when I first started the journey, back in 2017, I was just devoting 1 day a week. And I do a little bit on Saturday, trying to, so I was probably averaging um maybe close to 6 hours a week, when I first started and took the exams and failed and stuff. And I knew stuff wasn't. I'd study like Friday for 3 hours, and I'd come back the next Friday and study, and it's like nothing was sinking right. And I think that's where I got to now with your program, going through things. It was so much easier just to start dialing in, and for me, it was just, hey, I'm going to devote Monday through Friday. If I get a couple hours a day, great. And for me, I was gone out of town, so didn't have distractions at home, but I'd come home on weekends and spend time with the family. And it was like, I'm not going to study. I'm not going to overstress. I'll save the extra studying the week before, and get ready. And that's kind of what I stuck with throughout this whole time here.
Okay, awesome. So during the week you would just study, and then the weekend you would just spend it time with your family.
Yep. Yeah. And that's kind of what it was. And it was tough, right? Even back at the beginning, right? We just had a newborn and trying to study, and it was like, trying to help out the little lady and take care of the kiddo. And it's like, hey, no, I'm sorry, I got to spend my time, and I think I had that cramming there at the beginning and doing them 4-hour days was very helpful, because you just saw stuff process, like, okay, this is sticking now, and it helped. And I think once we built the foundation, we were able just to slowly keep adding, and not have to cram like I felt like I was,
Yeah. So it's actually really good point. You brought up really good point. So it's like, because you've been out of school for a while, so I do recommend this to a lot of students. For those of you guys who are watching this, like if you've been out of school for a while, I think it's really important to build the foundation first, because you forgot all this material. And once you build that foundation and you just go to as many problems as possible, just go to as many concepts as possible, and just keep going, and then maybe take a couple of weeks off, just like as a break, exactly like how you did, and then come back and then just reinforce the concept. And that's when everything will start to connect, and then you're gonna see that big picture, like the aha moment that you had. That was pretty much you got that big picture of the whole thing. And that's what I really tried to do, because like, I'm not sure if you noticed, but if we in mechanics of materials, I do bring up problems in like statics. Like in one problem, we could do statics, mechanics of materials, and fluid mechanics in one problem. And I do that so that way you guys see that, engineering, they're all connected. And once you see that big picture, that's when you're ready to take your FE exam. And I think that's really important to have. But before you get to that point, you got to be patient with yourself. You got to build that foundation, and then you just got to keep adding more and more as you go. And as you keep studying, you keep reinforcing the concepts, everything will eventually, one day, you will just have that aha moment and everything will just click.
Yeah. And I think that's what
Yeah.
happened for me, so.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, now let's discuss a little bit preparation. So what material did you use?
So throughout this whole journey, I've used almost everything. So when I first started, right, I don't know how many courses I bought. I tried Test Masters. I tried PPI. I used some of the PE headquarters stuff, and theirs wasn't that bad. I like some of their, and I used most of their exam prep, the exam samples.
Yeah.
One that I would say that did help a little bit, similar years, but was also a different course, was enGENIEer. They were good. And I think for me, what I liked, just that support. I think I just needed a coach. I referred to you as my tutor gal, and I just needed having somebody there. And I'm probably old school, right? And I think old school, you yelled at me halfway through when we were studying because I was still studying out of the reference book. I wasn't putting the handbook on the computer, right? And I think you yelled at me for that. But prep and error helped a little bit. I would say there was I did get some foundation stuff from them. The problem that I happened with them is they were upfront and there at the beginning, and then they kind of just started tailing off as I was studying. But they were also pushing more toward, and it's just their program, I think, pushing more towards the other or general exam. And they kind of advertise that to me as like, hey, you've been stressing here. Let's try something different. And at that point, when I failed the last thing, it was like, I'm open for whatever. I want to pass. I don't care if I pass by one extra point or just barely make. I just want the pass. But then I found your course and things just changed. It was I don't know how it worked or how I found you or found your YouTube deals. And I remember watching a couple of them doing some of your problems. Like, hey, wait a minute, this gal has something that is working. Like I'm connecting. Like I can, and I think that's some of these courses beforehand where they'd show you a problem, but they won't really give you the breakdown how they would solve it. So I think I was just trying to cheat myself through the test. Like, well, okay, I could just try to, being like we all are, we're all mathematical and we think about how things work, right? So I was like, well, I could figure out how to do this, but not really understand why, and if the problem changes, I'm not doing me no good, right? So that's what I think was so different once I went through your program and started getting through it. And even like I said, I watched a couple of your YouTubes and it was like, wait a minute, that's just that problem's similar to what I've seen in the past on the exams. And she just broke it down, like, how to solve this. I was like, and that's when I think I reached out to you. I was like, hey, let's talk. I need some help. What can you do it? And it just was like, hey, I think this can be a fit. And your program worked. I signed up for all of them and started doing them. And I knew once I had that, I had your support too. And I think that was the biggest thing. And I know towards the end there, you got busy. Life gets busy right now,
Yeah.
And I was like, a few times we reached out and I didn't hear from you, and I knew you were busy. And I didn't have the test the next day, so I wasn't too worried about it. But then I was like, back in my mind, I was like, oh man, I'm going through the same stuff. My support's not there. My tutor gals is mad at me or something, But then, we reached out, we talked, and you were there the whole time.
Yeah.
And that in so many ways, it's just so helpful. You don't really, and me being out of school so long, it's like I needed every little bit that I could, and it definitely helped. Even our one-on-one session, I learned some stuff there that just concept. And I remember even midway through this trying to prep, I went back and looked at some more notes from it, and it definitely helped. And I didn't have to use that much. Like some of that stuff just stuck in my head, So
Yeah.
that was my journey, and everybody out there, we all have different learning ways of learning, and I don't discredit some of them other companies, but definitely put up a lot of bought a lot of courses, and it's like I'm just going to buy what I need, and some of those courses too, and you've explained to some other people that some of the practice stuff, some of the problems I was doing were just so hard, difficult, and some of them were putting it, hey, if you could do the hard ones, then you're gonna have easy stuff. But if I was just struggling, just trying to figure out how to solve the hard ones, like I was never learning the concepts, and I think that's the underlining deal that you provide with the way you walk us through problems, and that's so helpful in so many ways, and I know for without a doubt I wouldn't have done it without being able to go through your classes,
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm really happy that my courses helped you with your FE exam. I do want to go over a couple points you mentioned, and you brought up a good point in terms of like like there are some resources, you can also find this in books or courses where they give hard problems to the students, but the point they're missing is that a lot of these students, they don't have a good, not they don't have good foundation, but you guys forgot the foundation of engineering. You guys forgot statics and dynamics, because like once you graduate, you start to work, that's it. Like statics is the first course we take. So by the end, by the time you take the FE exam, you don't remember any of that stuff. So they just give hard problems without explaining the concepts, without diving into the foundation, without giving you guys the tools to be able to solve any given problem. And so that's why, like, when I went to these courses and, you know, like the books and stuff, I was like, there's something missing here. Like when I was going over those things, I noticed that they're missing the foundation. And that's what I tried to do to give you guys in the course. I tried to give you guys the foundation and the skills to be able to solve any problem. Then once you have that foundation, if I give you a hard problem, you'll be able to solve it because now you know what to do. Just like you mentioned, because we think a lot about math, you could easily get an equation and just kind of, you know, play around with it. And you might get the right answer, but you have no idea how you got there. And that's a problem. Like you have to make sure that whatever you do, you know why you picked this equation, you know why you did this step. It's very important to know those because the FE exam is becoming more and more challenging, as you probably noticed from the time you took it in 2017 to 2020. There has been a lot of changes. And so you just knowing where the equation is not enough anymore. You really have to understand the concepts because they change the questions a lot. But if you have a good foundation, you'll be able to solve any given problem. And another thing you mentioned is that the coaching thing, like at the end, I haven't been posting on YouTube either or on social media. I've had a family emergency and I just got, like, I wasn't checking my emails or text, but I did get a couple people that joined my team, and they're actually helping other students with with questions, and then also like tips on how to pass the FE exam. So it's like, because right now I have a lot of students and it's getting harder and harder to keep, you know, track with every student and to interact. I still interact with a couple students and I really like that, like, you know, to have that close relationship with students and just kind of coaching you guys and just helping you. But like as I'm getting like more and more students, it's getting harder. So I'm trying to get more people that joining enGENIEer team so that way we can help everyone. So that's where we at. Yeah. But yeah, you
No,
got, sorry, go ahead.
no, and I thought that too. I said, well, maybe she's taking off. You're getting some growth, which is great, you know, you know what. I think that was the biggest thing. You know, you look back and you're right. Learning the concept, not just the problem. And I think that's when I first approached this problem, it's like, okay, well, I can figure out how to just do the problem or do the tricks, right? Ain't no different than algebra, right? You don't have to always know how to solve the algebra problem, but you can plug in numbers to check yourself what equals, right? If it's going to equal, it's going to equal, right? And I think that's kind of the approach I took. And I remember during this last time, there was a problem. And I remember we struggled. I knew for a fact I was not going to mess up on the moment of inertias or the centroids. Like I was going to get those dialed in, right? And I remember I got a problem on the exam for the moment of inertia. And it didn't have me solve it, but it had me come up with the equation, right? And I forgot how it broke down the problem, but I remember it was like, wait a minute, I wanted to solve it. You know, I've been practicing, but knowing the concept, I was able to put the formula, the equation together, and that's where they asked it, right? But it was because you're practicing doing so much repetitive. But I'd learned the problem, and I think it happened to me a few problems like that. I was like, I know this one, but I don't. Let me come back to it, and then oh yeah, this one, you know. But it was because I knew the concept, you know, and I think that's what I gained, because I remember when I first started the journey, test masters, right? I had their video online, all their videos, and had a big old book and all the problems, and you'd sit through their videos, and they weren't fully walking you through that much or why they did it. They just walk you through a problem and yeah, okay, great, thanks. But
Yeah.
For me, it just didn't help. Not saying there's probably other people that'll pick it up quicker than me, but for me, being so far out of school, um, it just wasn't giving me the depth and the with the way you were explaining it, walking through the problems.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think it's because sometimes I get students where, because I think like a student, somebody said that to me. They go like, because I think like a student, I'm able to break it down very easy for you guys because like I'm trying to almost like walk you through how I'm thinking and how I'm processing it, and I kind of share that with you guys. And so because like I think as a student, that process is so easy for you guys to grasp. But when you have a teacher teaching it, they skip a lot of steps because they just assume you know it. But like, and that's a wrong assumption. Like you have to make sure that you break down every step. And I think that's really what it is. That's what I really try to do in my courses. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you definitely achieved that for definitely for me, and I've seen it just and for me because I've taken so many. I had so many different courses and different versions of how I tried to tackle this test, right? And
Yeah.
I remember I had one of the courses was just all a lot of reading. So probably the most reading, I was devoted to passes. Most reading I did. I don't even think I read that much in college. I don't even think I ever read in college, but I don't know how I did it. um, and I was trying to read that. I'm like, no, I'm a visual learner, and I'm more repetitive. If you show me the steps how to do it. Then I can do it. And it's similar, I kind of compare sometimes to like playing a guitar. If you played a guitar, if you show me where to put the fingers, okay, or tell me, I could probably pick it up. And that's what I kind of started gaining from your class at the beginning. It was like, okay, you show me how to do this, I can boom, 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 do the problem. But as the journey went on, it's like, wait a minute, I'm learning something here, I'm picking up the concept. And that's what helped, and you don't realize that there's that hidden learning you're gaining from your course, and it definitely helped me.
Yeah. Wow, you brought up a really good point, like the hidden learning, because a lot of times I get students like when they first enroll, they always go like their biggest fear is when they're done studying, what if they forget all the material that they studied at the beginning? And I feel like you mentioned that too over the phone when we
Right.
first talked. You're like, I'm scared like when I get to the afternoon, what if I forget everything in the morning? And I told you, just trust the process. Like just start studying, make sure that you understand every single problem, make sure you watch the solution even though you got it right, because a lot of times I cover concepts and I go over concepts, or sometimes I tell you guys like, what if we had this in case of this, right? I would solve 2 or 3 problems in one problem and just give you all case scenarios. And going through that problem, the that process, by the end of it you just go like, you just go like, I just got this, like I understand it. You don't know how, but you just get it.
Right.
um
Yeah, you do. And it, like I said, for me, and I was listening, right? I spent 2.5 hours just plugging
mhm.
in the ear pods and had the tab there, and I just click your videos and while I'm driving, just listening to them, and there would be times like I think that helps because it took me away from just staring at the paper and having a calculator there. And in my mind, I was just trying to solve the problem. Just hearing you, I was like, okay, what would I do in this step? Oh, I do this, 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 or listening to, I forget the Marshall University, some of his YouTube. I forget the professor name, but I listened to his, and his were more like classroom
Mhm.
videos, right? And he'd go through minimal, a couple problems which were related to the test, but it was neat because I'd be driving and he'd be talking and I could say, oh yeah, okay, get ready to do this, or some of his students be answering it, and I'd say it before them, like, yeah, just do this, and then the students would say it, or they'd say something that wasn't right. It's like, no, you got to do this, and it just slowly just started. It just made that circle, and it all connected.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just trusting, having a plan, having a process, trust it and just go with it. Like
Right.
don't worry about what happens at the end, or yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
and I think that was one thing too. I definitely did have a little bit of that fear, like, um, I'm going to do all this studying. I know it now, but am I going to go to the test and just go blank? But like you said, just trust it. We're going to be okay. And I think that was the biggest thing. Was you you kept telling me that the whole time. Don't worry about it. You're good. You were so positive and encouraging. And I think that's what got me. And I remember a couple weeks before, that's just didn't weigh on me. Like, poor my little lady, I give her credit, right? She had to stick through to me when I was telling her, I got to study, I got to do this, you got to take care of the kiddos. I need this time, And I think a couple weeks before, she's like, hey, how you feeling? And I was like, well, I overall I feel good, but I can't tell you yet because there's so many questions like can be asked, right? They could throw so many curveballs at me, and maybe I won't be good. But I remember we had that talk, and it was like, I know we're gonna do it, And I think I even told her, I said, we're gonna get through it this time. We got this, And I said, our tutor gal, she is prepping me, and she's helping me. I said, I feel very good, if we get most of the problems that I've been practicing, I said, I'm so much stronger now, I remember us having that conversation. Okay, well, go do it, pass it, But
Yeah.
it worked, in that process. And I'll tell you what, and I got to give a shout out to Juanica. I think, hopefully I got her name right. I reached out to you. I watched her video. I think we were real similar, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so nice of her. She spent some time, and we just got to talk on the phone, right? And she just passed, and I think that helped, right? Because it was nice to hear it from her perspective too. I saw her video, but me and her just talked, and she had that same deal, just like, hey, you're gonna be okay. You've gone through the course. You're gonna be fine. Just
Yeah.
go do it. And she was encouraging, and I think for me, I was so confident building up my confidence, but I think what was that last week, probably week and a half before the exam, it was just, I think the past performances were creeping through my brain, like, oh, okay, here's the fear, like, you gotta not, don't be scared, and I think I was just starting to do that. And for her, being able to talk with her, talk with you, those were the moments that just like, okay, you know what, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be all right. Let's go do this thing, and it was kind of like, I can't wait for the exam to just get it over with.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The little journey that you had. But what I really like about it is that you were so aware of your thoughts, because a lot of times we have these negative thoughts and we don't even know they're happening. But you're so tuned with your body and your thoughts that, like, you know what's going on, and you were trying to find ways of how to fight these negative thoughts. You were dwelling a little bit in the past, and you were, the past was kind of scaring you about a little bit, bringing some fears because you failed in the past. But you were able to first acknowledge that, be aware of those thoughts, and then be able, okay, what do I do now so I can fight these negative thoughts, right? And then you fought it with positive thoughts. So you reach out to me, you reach out to your wife, you reach out to Juanica. And I think that is a really big step, because a lot of times, like I mentioned, we have negative thoughts, so we're not even aware of them. And if we're not aware, then we have nothing we're solving. But when you're aware, you know what to do. You can take action and turn it into positive thoughts. And I really like how Juanica helped you. It's really great just to see, like, how this community, like, always helping each other. And that's another thing, like, joining the course, we have I'm not sure you are on it, the Facebook private page. Uh, you know,
Probably not. No,
no? Okay.
I'm so
You're
like,
not on social media.
yeah, my
Yeah.
social media is so like,
Yeah.
I'm a low social media man. That's
Yeah.
probably the most social media I'll get right now. you know,
Yeah. So some students they are joining and some are not, because I think a lot of engineers, we're just not on social media. I
right,
myself, before I started this business, like, I didn't even know how to use Instagram. Like, seriously,
right,
I've never used
right.
Instagram till I started this business. And so, but the students who are in that group, they always so supportive. They ask questions, they help each other. And also, when some of the students pass, they always post on Facebook their journey, and just they encourage each other and they help each other, and it's just so great. It's such like a great positive community, and I think that's what I've always wanted to kind of create here, just to kind of help each other. Because just like we mentioned in the beginning, or you mentioned, like being confident, just having a coach, having someone there to guide you and support you is such a huge, like, so important to pass the FE exam. And I think
Yeah.
having that is really cool. Yeah.
No, yeah, and that helped. And you mentioned too, right? I knew you were there for me when if I needed you, and you had some stuff going on, and it just was perfect timing, right? I watched Waniko's video and I was like, hey, and I reached out to you and said, hey, if you mind, ask her, maybe she can just give me a little bit of her time or give me some advice, and it was just perfect timing for both of us, and I thank her for just stepping out and just doing that, right? She didn't know who I was. I didn't know who she was, and she didn't mind. She was just so friendly and so encouraging, and I think I needed that. And you were there to just tell me, hey, do my course. You're good. Okay. Well, yeah, it's your course. You're selling it to me, right? But hearing it from her,
Yeah.
because she just took it too. I think she took
Yeah.
it a month or two before I was taking mine, right? And it was nice just to be able to talk to her and say, hey, what feelings are we feeling the same stuff? Or do you have the same emotions I am? How did you feel? Do you feel like you really gained with the course? Am I going to be okay? Am I not? And I think I just had, like you said, it was probably just those little demons in my head, like trying to pull me back from taking this exam. And it was just a phone call that I needed, and I think even that night, like I was planning to go study, and I think I just hearing that encouragement was like, hey, you know what? I'm okay. Let me just take a break tonight. I'm good. I think I got everything kind of scheduled. And that was the nice part. Like I never felt like I had to cram towards the end. I think just doing everything was so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then also, like, I do tell you, you're gonna be okay. Just go over my course because
Right,
I've seen it.
right.
I've seen,
Right.
like, like, honestly, like, I'm just in shock as much as, like, a lot of people. Like, at first when I launched the course and I was, and it was like, I get students telling me I passed. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually working.
Right.
Like, because, like, I
Right.
was, and I was like, okay, I really love teaching, and you guys can probably see that in the videos. And like, I really try to give you guys all the tools. And when I get messages, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome, this is amazing, this is working. So when I get that, then if I'm having a call with you, I go, Anthony, you got this. I have so many students who pass. You're gonna do this. Just follow the
Right.
course. That's where it
Right.
actually comes from.
Right.
But
Well,
at first, I wasn't even marketing my courses. Like the FE, but I don't even think I've ever made a video on YouTube just talking about the course, because, like, I wasn't sure. Like, I need to see, if this is working. And luckily, like, I have so many students who pass their FE exam, like, every week, from all over. Like, they come from all different backgrounds, who've been out of school for a while, who graduated in India or from Venezuela. I had students from Venezuela last week. He passed his FE exam. So it's so cool just to kind of see, like, different people coming from different backgrounds and being able to pass their FE exam. And I don't even have the afternoon course yet. This is just from the morning. And that's why I
right.
keep telling you guys, because, like, when you
We
have
don't.
so many resources that you want to cover, that can be so discouraging and you can get so overwhelmed. So that's why, like, I try to cover everything that you guys need and just kind of focus just on the course for the morning, and it just makes you more focused.
Yeah, and it's so weird because like I being it had to having processed the tests and doing all the stuff, like it's so weird. Like this last time I took it, I didn't focus as much as studying on some of the afternoon questions. There were some I did, like I knew how, but it's so weird, like because you just kept saying focus on the morning, focus on morning, and watching some of the other interviews from other people was like, hey, just do the morning. You're gonna be good,
Yeah.
um, and I was like, when my exam got canceled, and I was like, okay, well, cool. She'll probably come up with afternoon one, and I'm gonna gain that too, and I'm gonna be real good. And then you kept adding
More.
problems, and they kept growing. Like I forget some of the topics. There's like 60 videos or something. And then it started doubling. I was like, oh my goodness, she's gonna stress me out because I'm not gonna get all these done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it worked out. And
Yeah.
it was just more of that repetitive and you repeated stuff, and there's um 2 you and 2 year program, and it's neat, like um being here and seeing some growth, right? I think you're starting to grow in your company, the tutoring, but you do have like, I don't know what it is. If I don't know if it's that the music intro that gives you that little shake that makes you get excited, for the problem, and whatever you're doing, and the gift that you have for teaching, it's good, and I'm glad that we met and that I got through your program. I don't think I would be where I'm at now, without going through your deal. They help so much,
Yeah.
it's cool looking back, and it's so easy now because it's so easy to look back and look at this journey now, and it's so cool, to see the growth, and I see how much you've actually helped me.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really happy I was able to be part of your FE journey. I'm really glad. Did you take any practice exams before your exam? You did, right?
I did, yeah. We talked about. I took a bunch of them. I don't know how many.
Yeah.
When it came to taking it, I didn't care if there was a book out there, I bought it. I think I had like 5 or 6 exams. So I remember taking those a lot. And what was weird is I didn't. Towards the end here, I did not have to. I didn't use them as much as I thought I would, when I used them before. And I think we used them what we need. And some of them was hard to use because of the changes, right? With the exam. So I know some of the books I had, I think I'd look back and they got updated, but I didn't have time to purchase them or get them, so I just stuck with what I had and just used it,
Yeah. Okay.
I think
sorry, go ahead.
The biggest thing that I think I did, and we talked about this, you kind of say, hey, take this one. We were like 2 weeks out. You say, hey, here's your plan. Finish videos, take one, then go back and review, and you'll be good,
Yeah.
And I think one weekend I did that. I stayed at work, and I stayed away from the family for the weekend. I said, hey, this is the last weekend. I just need, let's all sacrifice. I'll be gone. Let me just study. I'm going to cram. And this is going to be it. We're going to cram because we do not want to return to this exam, And I remember doing a practice exam, and then I felt okay about it. And then I was like, I had another book there, and I said, I want to do this one. I started doing it, and I don't know if I screwed myself or not, because it was like I think my brain was already just tired from that weekend because I studied the whole weekend, right? And I didn't do that great on that exam. And I remember telling you that. I was like, oh man, did I just hurt my confidence? I just break myself down, But I knew also, like, when I was taking that exam, like, I just didn't even have any go in me when I was doing some of the projects. I think I was just tired from everything, So I remember doing that. I was like, oh, maybe I should have did that because I didn't score too great. I was like, oh no, here we go again, But I kind of just shook that off, and you said, hey, don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You did good. You're okay. And then I just went into reviewing for the week,
Yeah, I usually recommend only like one practice exam during like the weekend. And so usually I recommend you guys to take a practice exam once you finish the morning course, then you review the afternoon, and then you take another practice exam. You see how like far they are from each other, because taking a practice exam is exhausting. I mean, you sit there for 5 hours doing the problems. After that, like you just gotta take a break after that. You're gonna take the night off. And then if you have enough time, I usually recommend that you take another week of just reviewing everything, and then take another practice exam, and then just review after that. You're just going to review and relax till the day of your exam. Yeah, so that's something I do recommend. And then another thing I recommend is watching the course as many times as possible, because like I said, focusing in the morning really helps you, gives you higher chances of passing the FE exam. And I feel like you kind of did that. Like you watched the course over and over again till you really got all the concepts. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference between the old FE exam and the new one? Because they did change it after July 1st, 2020. They released a new FE exam. And I know that you took the FE exam in 2019, and then you also took it in 2020 September. So you did take the new FE exam. Can you tell us if you've noticed any difference between the two?
So a couple things that I noticed probably just the concepts. There was a lot more conceptual questions than I anticipated. And then I had a lot more like some survey problems that didn't expect. And then one thing from all through the two times before that I failed, I always had a vertical curve problem, right? And I'd always struggle with them. I don't know why, but they always get me. So I was like, I'm not going to mess up this time. I'm going to get the little tricks and all the little different formulas that aren't in the print, in the manual, and I didn't get it this time. It was weird, but it was someone was so just conceptual, and I don't know if that benefited me just being in the industry, right? I've been in construction for so long. There was a lot of problems that for me were like, oh, this is easy. There was a takeoff problem. It's like, oh, I do that all the time. That was simple. So there was a lot of conceptual stuff that was different. Definitely was nice not having to deal with the computer stuff or having to do the computer formulas and all that jazz. So that was nice.
Did you feel like the practical questions were they harder than the exam that you took on 2019, or would you say they were same difficulty, same level of difficulty?
I'd probably say about the same difficulty. It's hard to remember exactly those, but I'd say probably real similar to the same.
Okay.
On that, there was a few, like I said, the ones that shocked me were there was definitely a lot more construction related, and maybe it's just afternoon exam, that's related to more towards stuff that I just knew from just working, that I didn't see beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And tell us a little bit about the day before your FE exam. Were you feeling stressed? Were you feeling ready? How were you feeling?
I think I was. I would say I felt ready. I think the only thing I just had that nerve, like, hey, you've been here. One thing that got me was where I was probably a couple of days before, my calculator stopped working. Right. So I was studying and coming back in and coming home and I took a couple of days off work. I said, hey, I'm going to take a couple of days off work. I'm going to let's review, not deal with work. I'm just going to couple of days, rest my brain, and my calculator stopped working. It's like, so then I was, trying to scramble to find who had that calculator in town, trying to buy me a calculator, so that was the only thing that got me. And that even hurt me a little bit in the exam because I forgot, when I got my calculator, you set it up and there was a few steps I didn't set up and I couldn't remember how to, even in the exam, there was a few things I forgot how to preset, So I was, man, that got me a little bit. But overall, I was feeling fairly good, So I remember just coming home, I think I came home and had Thursday and Friday before the exam. It was like, hey, you're going to review videos. You're going to do some problems. I wasn't going to take it too hard. And even that Friday before, it was like, hey, I'm going to study, go over videos, sit on the couch, do some videos, and just take, ease my mind and just get ready,
Yeah. Okay, now let's discuss a little bit the day of the exam. So how were you feeling during the exam?
Actually felt fairly good, one thing that was kind of creeped up on me was the time seemed like it was going a little quicker than I expected, but it wasn't terrible. I would, I think, I remember just starting out and just, I don't think I followed the process too well with skip problems and that. Like I just started doing problems, right? And then I don't think I flagged properly or didn't do, if I didn't know it or I knew it was going to take me long, I just skipped it and just kept going. But at the end, it was like, okay, what do I have left? And I think that's what I did. I just kind of went through, did all the ones I could do, and then came back and started just solving them. Okay, well, I don't know that one. Then I'd start working through, I know that one. Spend a little bit of extra time, but I definitely felt like the morning time, my time was kind of going, I kind of wanted to be done by about, I was trying to set like a base around 2 hours, 2.5 hours to be done. So I had the kind of split it in half is the way I wanted to be, just to spend some time, because I knew I could probably work some of the afternoon problems,
Mm.
probably just stronger, maybe just for me, Um, so I remember going over that a little bit in the morning. It wasn't bad, and um, I think I solved like a good out of the 50, because they broke it up as like 52 problems in the morning, and then 58 or whatever. However, they balanced it different than not just in half. That you were kind of
Mhm.
used to 50 or um, and I think walking out of it, like I going through it, I was like, hey, I think I got about half of them right that I knew, and then after that half, like I did like probably solved like 30 of them, and then I had to go back, and then I know I broke probably got half of those. So in my head, I was like, okay, I think I probably solved a good 30 of those, that I got right, maybe even more, but I felt confident somewhat, in
Mhm.
it, so I didn't feel stressed. I think it was just like um, took it. All right, let's go take my break and come back in,
Yeah.
and do the afternoon, and the afternoon was kind of nice because it was. I remember starting out and it's like, oh, okay, I got this problem, and I like just got on a roll, like doing some of them. It's like, oh, boom, boom, boom. They were just coming to me, So that was nice.
Yeah. Great. And were you feeling confident when you finished the exam?
Um, so part of me, yes, and part of me, like, I think part inside, I felt like confident, like, okay, I think I did it, But I didn't want to start over. um getting too excited or too positive, but I think there was that inside of me that like I felt good, and that's kind of the way I looked at it. Like, I wanted to try to get about, um, was always trying to shoot for close to like trying to answer about 70 of the problems, right? And I
Mhm.
just trying to break it down. Okay, well, I think I did, you know, about 30 here, 40. I probably got this many out of this one and this, so in my head, I was trying to calculate in my head, how many do you think you did, and for me, I felt like, okay, I think we did it, but I didn't want to like give myself that big hope and then be disappointed again either. So I think I was kind of just being like, okay, well, felt good, but let's just wait and see, what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Are there any areas that were difficult that you wish you would have had studied more?
Not really, just because everything was so like, I think I hit everything. So yeah, I could sit here and say if I knew which problem, I'd tell myself, yeah, I wish I would have studied that just to get that right. But overall, just the whole scheme of everything, I felt fairly good about. Nothing really like hit me. There was problems, and I think that was hard for me the whole time. Was um, I'm not going to know everything. I'm not going in there going to answer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to answer 100 of these right. It's just like, hey, you are going to miss some. There's going to be a lot you're just not going to know, and I think I just didn't let that. I try not to let that affect me
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, that's really important one to keep in mind. Like, you're not trying to perfect this exam. You're just trying to, like, do the best you can. Like, do pretty good, right? And a lot of times, because if you go with that mentality that I gotta solve every single problem, when you hit a problem and you know that problem, and if you get stuck, you're going to keep trying to get it right instead of just moving on and just coming back to it later. And that's gonna waste a lot of your time. So it's really important to go into the exam with that mindset that you're just going to do the best you can and you're just going to try to do good, but not perfect. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I think I remember hearing that from some of the other interviews and some of the other students there, where they spent a little bit more time in the morning, and they're like, hey, it's okay because I know those problems, and I think I got to that point too, where it's like, I'm not, if I know it, I'm gonna try to solve it, and I'm gonna try to get that point, not skip it.
Yeah.
But um, overall, like I didn't feel too bad. And it's kind of funny, I know the the testing center that been the same one I've gone a couple of times, um, one of the guys, I remember him from last time. He kind of recognized me or remembered me a little bit, and for the two times I failed before this, I got put in the same room both times. It's like, okay, and then this time they put me in a different room, and I was like, hey, you guys are moving me, and they're like, well, yeah, but we're gonna get you to pass this time. I said, oh, good, all right. Well, then let's go to the passing room. You should have put me in this last time. um, so it was just kind of funny how it just worked, and we all have our different journeys, and I think that was just part of mine,
Yeah.
and it was neat, so I definitely felt okay, got my break in and went back in and said, hey, we're going to go for it, and afternoon came and seemed like time was going, for me, it just felt like the time was going quick, but I was solving a lot of the problems. That's one thing I would say. It wasn't like before in the past I had so much like to compare to that. I remember taking it as like, hey, this, I would remember just struggling, like, oh no, but I don't ever felt like I ever struggled, right? And I think there was moments in the exam and problems that probably throw you off, but those were ones that it was already towards the end that I had time. It was, and I remember the afternoon time, it felt like I had some extra time just to review the afternoon more. And I think I finally ended it with maybe 10 minutes left or so. And I think part of that, I was just slowing down, just checking some stuff. Like it wasn't like I was at the end just, oh, gotta click here. I felt like I was just reviewing, and some of them is like got to the end. There's like probably like 4 of them that I was going through back and forth. I couldn't figure out how to solve it. It's like, all right, time to just guess, And I think for me, one thing I was doing that I finally had to just say, hey, you need to leave, because I started, I went in there with that game plan. Hey, just pick a letter and stick with the ones you don't want, right? And I started doing that, but then I started second guessing myself, and so then I go back and change some of them, and then before I know it, I was like, stop doing that, just walk away. You're gonna just screw yourself up, so just walk away, And I think I just ended it and said, all right, we're done.
Hmm. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. 'Cause sometimes you get like really like excessive and you start doubting yourself, and at that moment just
Right.
stop.
Right.
You did the best you could. Just let it go and then just wait for the results. That's all you can
Right.
do, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So lastly, I was hoping we could talk about your life after passing the exam. Did passing the FE impact your professional life?
Right now, not really, because like I said, for me, it wasn't like I don't work for a engineering firm. It wasn't needed for me, so it wasn't anything that just changed too bad, maybe in the future and stuff. Like I said, for me, it's the FE's done, probably change more, with taking the PE and all that, life might change a little bit, but biggest thing for me is just I don't have that stress of having to go home and study, or hey, that test, or always had that date, it's coming up, it's not coming up, I don't have that. And I think some of that stress definitely has been lifted, and I haven't had to carry that the last few weeks and stuff. And that's been nice, not having to have that worry about that.
Yeah. Okay. And are you planning on taking the PE anytime soon?
I am. So I'm trying to get all my application submitted. So I'd like to try to take it if pending with, with the pandemic stuff. But my goal now is try to take it here in April. I'd like to take it right away, just because that was the goal here was always just to go through that, and get on that. So hopefully I could get approved for it and start studying for that, especially now too, just because everything is so fresh. I don't want to take what I've gained. I want to use some of this to also help me through that exam as well.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, awesome. Do you have any closing remarks for engineers who are trying to pass the FE exam?
I think the biggest thing, is don't give up. That's what I learned, and I think I just mentally I set myself to that. And I remember even my bosses and some people that knew that I was taking it, like once I was able to actually tell them I passed, and they were just so like, man, you stuck with that. They couldn't believe I just never gave up, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing. And you know, I'd recommend your course to a bunch of people, you know, early students or some of the people that have been away, you know, to take your course and run through it. There's so much that I gained from that, and we talked about this whole time. Is I didn't just learn the material; like I learned just how to mentally prepare, how to be confident, how to tackle this test and not be so feared. I think going into this and looking back when I first started this journey, and even out of school, like you get this fear of this exam, and don't get me wrong, it's a tough exam, but like after going through it, through your course, taking this exam, it's not as scary or as fearful as we, like as we think it is. I think we build ourselves up for it so much more, and I think that's the thing, and I think you've said that so many times. The only time you quit is when you decide not to keep taking it, right? And I think I went into it even knowing what I know now, and I guarantee if we went to got the we would have failed, I would still took it again. I wasn't going to stop, even though um, I've been through this so long. 2017, I've been on this journey. That's almost 3 years now that I've been on this journey just to tackle this, and that's my biggest thing is if you're going to do it and you commit to it, don't give up. And once you get that pass, it's so cool. Like that's that feeling, and I think for me, I don't know if maybe other people do, but I remember just so nervous to open up my log in and see is it going to be passed or failed, and I had this whole like, oh, I think I passed it, but then am I going to see the fail or am I going to let myself down? I remember just breaking down with just joy. I even had a couple of my eyes watered a little bit, or I guess you could say I cried a little bit, but like, cause I carried so much of this burden for so long, when I got to open that up. And I think that was the coolest thing was being able to call the little lady and say, hey, we did it, we passed it, and also being able to call my mom because she had no idea. And she's been wanting me to do this. She wants me to have my PE exam. She's wanted my PE since I graduated. She wants me to have that. And that was such a great phone call to be able to do. And I think I remember just looking into like waiting for those moments or having this moment to tell you and not let you down too. I remember just wanting to be another passing student for you, not a not a failing student.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Even if you failed, like I'll support. I told you all the time, you guys. I tell you
Right.
this. Like even if you fail, it's okay. We will figure it out together, and then we'll come up with another plan, and we'll get you there. And that's really what it is. Yeah. So.
No, and I think that's and your company's going to grow. You're going to grow more. I see it. The more this gets out, more people pick up on this. You're going to get that growth, and as long as you keep with that. I went through so many other programs throughout this whole journey that I never once had that backup. My coach, my tutor, Gail, and out of this whole deal, I would say not just did I gain the support and the tutor Gail, I consider you another friend in the family there to put on our list because you were there just to support. You taught me, but you also supported me, and I think any student out there that's looking to try to pass this exam, you gotta use you to help them out, and I know as you grow, you're probably gonna get some more support there within your company, and that's what set you apart. Definitely set you apart from everything else that I've taken. Was being able to learn the stuff, but then also had you there to guide me. And I know there was times too. I think you maybe I'd go to bed too early and you'd text me and I'd have to wait till the morning and read it, but just the support was always there. And I've always felt motivated. And I think too, and I think that helped me because I knew I didn't want to let you down as well as everybody else that knew I was taking it too,
Yeah. That's great. Okay. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really enjoyed talking to you. And again, congratulations on your FE exam. I'm really happy for you. And yeah, thank you for your time.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the help, and good luck with everything and the growth of the company.
Thank you. So that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys like this interview, and I hope it helps you with your FE exam. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for new videos every week. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with your studying, and I will see you soon. À la prochaine. Oh, yeah.